Imagine the financial markets as Gotham City at night. Dark alleys, flashing lights, people running around chasing quick money. And in the shadows, someone is always waiting. Someone smarter, sharper, someone who doesn't just play the game, but bends the rules of the game itself. Now here's the wild part. You can trade like a Gotham villain. And no, I'm not talking about robbing banks or building an army of clowns. Although, let's be honest, sometimes Forex does feel like a circus. I'm talking about stepping into the markets with the same mindset as someone like the Joker, Bane, or even Two-Face. Because here's the truth. The average trader out there, they're Batman's citizens. They think they're safe. They think they understand what's going on, but really, they're prey. When you step into the market as a villain, you don't just chase money. You manipulate it. You don't just react. You create chaos that other people fall into. And the crazy part is chaos is profitable. But before I explain what that means, let me ask you something. Have you ever entered a trade and felt like the market was mocking you? Like the second you clicked buy, the candles turned against you? You think you're in control, but the market flips a coin, just like Harvey Dent, and suddenly you're holding the wrong side of destiny. That's because the game is rigged against the naive. And Gotham villains? They don't play fair now. Let me tell you a story that's going to make you think twice about the way you trade. Picture this. A trader, sitting in his room at 3 a.m., charts glowing on his screen, coffee cup shaking in his hand, sweat dripping because he just doubled his position. He tells himself, "This is it. I'm Batman tonight. I'm the hero." But the market doesn't reward heroes. It punishes them. Suddenly, a spike wipes him out. His stop-loss hit like a gunshot in the night, and he stares at the screen in disbelief. What happened? Simple. Somewhere out there, a villain was waiting. An algorithm, an institution, a shark. Someone who saw his desperation. Someone who exploited his obvious move. And that's exactly what you need to become. Not the desperate trader, but the one who feeds on desperation. Trading like a Gotham villain means seeing the market as a playground of fear and greed. It means understanding that people panic, and panic is predictable. Fear is profitable. If you can read those moments, if you can anticipate how the crowd will react, then you become the one pulling the strings. That's not luck. That's design. That's you stepping into the shoes of the villain who never trades against the crowd. He manipulates it. And by the way, I share my personal analysis, villain-style strategies, and breakdowns of market psychology every single day in my Discord. If you're serious about not being one of Gotham's helpless citizens, you might want to check that out. Because here's the hard truth. Without guidance, most traders stay stuck in the role of the victim. But if you can flip that mindset, if you can study the villain's way, you'll start seeing opportunities where others only see losses. This is just the beginning. In this series, we're going to break down exactly how to trade like a villain. The psychology, the setups, the traps, the chaos, and the precision. And in the next chapter, I'll show you exactly how to identify the weak hands in the market, the ones who panic first, the citizens of Gotham that every villain profits from. But before we go there, I need you to sit with this question. When you open your next trade, are you the villain or the victim? Every villain in Gotham has one thing in common. They know exactly who to target. They don't waste time swinging blindly in the dark. They look for weakness. In trading, that weakness is what we call weak hands. And if you don't know how to spot them, you might actually be one of them. Let's be real. Weak hands are the traders who panic the second the market twitches. They see one red candle and slam the sell button, thinking they're escaping danger. But here's the villain's secret. Those panicked sells are exactly what fuel the next move up. Weak hands hand over their money like terrified citizens running from a villain in Gotham Square. Now, let's step into a scene. Imagine a group of traders, all staring at the same chart, their fingers hovering nervously over the mouse. News breaks. Bad news, scary headlines. The market dips. Instantly, fear spreads like wildfire. Some traders can't handle it. They dump their positions, They run, but the villain? He's standing in the shadows, smirking. He knows that panic is temporary, that the institutions are scooping up the assets those weak hands just threw away. That's when he steps in, calm, collected, almost theatrical. While others are crying, he's laughing. Here's how you become that villain. You learn to anticipate fear. When you see a sudden move, don't ask, "What just happened?" Ask, "Who's panicking right now?" Look for the stop-loss clusters, those obvious levels on the chart where weak traders have placed their protection. Markets are magnets, and stop-losses are the shiny bait villains can't resist. Once you understand this, you'll see why the market moves the way it does. It's not random. It's psychological warfare. And I'll give you a personal example. There was a time I used to chase breakouts like every other rookie. I'd see green candles exploding upward, my heart racing, thinking I was catching the train. But no. What I was really catching was the trap. The institutions, the villains, they set that move up so people like me would jump in. And once we piled on, they flipped the switch. Price reversed, and my stop-loss got eaten alive. That's when I realized something. I wasn't Batman. I was just another terrified Gotham citizen, paying the price of my own fear. From that moment on, I started studying how villains actually operate. That's what I share in my Discord, step-by-step breakdowns of these traps, how to see through the chaos, and how to stop being the one getting liquidated. Because once you learn to think like the villain, you stop fearing those moves. You start anticipating them. You see the patterns in the panic, and when you start trading against the fear instead of with it, the market begins to feel like Gotham in the palm of your hand. In the next chapter, we're going deeper into villain psychology. I'll show you why patience, chaos, and even theatrics play a role in profitable trading. Because let's face it, the villain doesn't just win by being smart. He wins by being unpredictable, by using the crowd's expectations against them. And once you see how to use unpredictability to your advantage, you'll never look at the charts the same way again. Every great Gotham villain knows one truth: patience is power. Think about Bane. He didn't rush. He waited underground, in the shadows, letting his enemies grow comfortable, even arrogant, before he struck. That's exactly how trading works. The rookie traders, the so-called heroes, they can't wait. They jump at every flicker, every small move, chasing candles like scared children chasing fireflies. But the villain? He watches. He studies. He waits until the crowd is blind with greed or paralyzed with fear. Then he acts. And that patience is deadly. And let me pull you into a scene. Imagine the market as a masquerade ball in Gotham. Everyone's wearing masks: bulls, bears, institutions, retail traders. The music is loud, people are dancing, but beneath the noise, something is building. The villain stands at the edge of the ballroom, silent, calculating. He knows that if he lunges too soon, he'll get caught in the crowd. But if he waits just long enough, he can cut the music and control the entire room. That's what patience does in trading. It's the silence before the chaos most traders lose because they mistake movement for opportunity. They think, if I'm not in the market, I'm missing out. But villains know that doing nothing is sometimes the most profitable move. While the weak hands are burning their accounts on random trades, the villain is sharpening his knife, waiting for the perfect setup. It's like the Joker said, introduce a little anarchy, upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos. But here's the twist. The villain doesn't cause chaos randomly. He times it. He unleashes it when the crowd is most vulnerable. That's exactly what you need to learn as a trader. And here's where unpredictability comes in. Villains are masters of theatrics. They understand the power of surprise. The market is the same. It thrives on fake-outs, manipulation, and sudden reversals. If you trade like everyone else, you get punished like everyone else. But if you start thinking like a villain, you learn to use unpredictability as a weapon. You don't just take the obvious trade. You wait until the market lures everyone into one direction. Then you strike the other way. And that's when you profit while everyone else is screaming, "What just happened?" I'll tell you something that changed my own trading forever. There was this moment. I was sitting on a chart, watching USD coil up like a spring. Everyone on social media was screaming, "Breakout incoming!" The herd was piling in. I waited. My fingers itched to jump in, but I forced myself to think like a villain. I asked, what would institutions do here? What would the Joker do if he wanted to cause maximum chaos? So I stayed out, and then boom, the fake breakout came. Price spiked up, trapped all the greedy buyers, then crashed like Gotham's stock exchange under Bane's control. I entered short at the top of the chaos, and that one trade paid more than an entire week of playing hero. This is the essence of villain psychology: patience, unpredictability, and timing. It's not about chasing every move. It's about waiting for the market to set up its own trap, then stepping in to spring it. And that's what I teach in my Discord. The art of waiting, the setups where the crowd gets baited, and how to strike like a villain when the moment is perfect. Because the market doesn't reward the fastest hand. It rewards the coldest mind. In the next chapter, we're diving into manipulation itself. The mechanics of how the villains of the market, institutions, banks, algorithms, engineer chaos so that you, the unsuspecting citizen, hand over your money without even realizing it. And once you see their tricks, you'll never fall for them again. If you've made it this far, you're ready to face the real truth. The markets are not fair. They're not random. They're not even a game of skill in the way most people think. The markets are designed, engineered by villains. And if you don't see that, you're the one being played. Think about Gotham's institutions, the banks, the politicians, the crime bosses. They always appear powerful, polished, respectable. But in the shadows, they're pulling strings, setting traps, feeding on the weak. The financial markets are exactly the same. Those sudden spikes that stop you out, they're not accidents. Those fake breakouts that lure you in, not coincidence. They're traps, crafted, calculated, executed by the masterminds who profit when you lose. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're walking down a dark alley in Gotham. You hear footsteps behind you, your heart races, and you start running. But what you don't know is that the villain already set up the ambush ahead of you. That's what stop hunts are. The crowd thinks they're escaping risk, but they're running straight into the villain's jaws. The market pushes price just far enough to trigger every stop-loss order, creating a flood of liquidity. And the villain? He's waiting with open arms, ready to scoop up those positions at a discount. And here's the wildest part. You've probably fallen for it dozens of times. I know I did. I can remember one trade vividly. GBP USD was consolidating tightly. I saw the resistance level. Everyone on Twitter and Discords was buzzing. Once it breaks, it's going to the moon. I bought the breakout like a naive Gotham citizen. And guess what? It spiked up, looked glorious for 5 minutes, then crashed so hard it blew my stop and half my account. At first I thought, bad luck. But then I realized, this wasn't luck. It was design. Someone engineered that move to bait me in. That day, I stopped believing the market was random. Villains in the market don't just trade, they manipulate. They bait you with news, they trap you with technical levels, they exploit your psychology. Every flashy headline, every sudden wick, every fake pump and dump, it's all part of the show. And just like in Gotham, the show is designed for one thing: to make the crowd panic and pay. So how do you flip the script? You learn to read the traps. You train yourself to spot when a move looks too perfect, too obvious. Because villains never take the obvious path. If the whole crowd is buying, that's when you need to start thinking like a villain. Where are they vulnerable? Where is their pain point? That's why I spend hours dissecting market moves in my Discord, showing exactly where the manipulation happens, how to recognize it, and how to use it against the very institutions that set it up. Once you understand this, the market becomes clear. The chaos is no longer scary. It's predictable. It's theater. And just like the Joker said, nobody panics when things go according to plan, even if the plan is horrifying. That's exactly how the market works. The horror is planned. Your panic is planned. But once you step into the villain's role, you stop panicking and start profiting. In the final chapter, I'm going to show you how to take all of this, the fear, the chaos, the patience, the manipulation, and forge it into a complete villain strategy. The mindset, the setups, the discipline. By the end, you won't just be another traitor wandering Gotham in fear. You'll be the villain everyone else is afraid of. Every villain has a master plan. The Joker has his chaos. Bane has his discipline. Two-Face has his coin. And in the markets, you need a plan that's just as ruthless, just as unpredictable, and just as powerful. This is the villain's strategy, the blueprint that transforms you from a victim wandering Gotham streets into the one pulling the strings from the shadows. First, the mindset. The villain never seeks approval. He doesn't trade to be liked, to show off profits, or to feel like a hero. He trades with cold calculation. He doesn't fear missing out, because he knows opportunities are endless. He doesn't fear losses because losses are tools, information, lessons, stepping stones to the bigger picture. Most traders crumble after one bad day. The villain sharpens his blade. That's the first part of your strategy. Stop caring about looking right and start caring about being profitable. Second, the setup. The villain doesn't chase random moves. He hunts for traps. He looks for liquidity pools, places where weak hands have stacked their stops. He knows that if the crowd sees an obvious breakout, there's money to be made by fading it. The villain waits for the trap to spring, then he enters. Not with fear, but with confidence, because he knows he's not trading against the market. He's trading with the ones who move it. Third, patience. Remember, chaos without timing is wasted. A villain waits for the crowd to overcommit, for greed to blind them, for fear to paralyze them. Then he strikes. That's why the villain doesn't have 50 trades a day. He has a handful, perfectly chosen. He knows that quality destroys quantity. And in trading, one well-timed strike can do more damage than 100 desperate swings. Fourth, risk control. Every villain knows his limits. Even Bane wore a mask to control his own pain. In the same way, the villain trader respects risk. He never throws his entire stack into one reckless move. He sizes his trades with precision, because survival is part of domination. The weak blow up their accounts. The villain lives to fight another day, and that's what makes him unstoppable. Finally, theatrics. The villain embraces unpredictability. The crowd expects one thing, he delivers another. That means sometimes sitting out while others panic, sometimes taking profits earlier than the herd, sometimes waiting hours, days, even weeks for the perfect ambush. Because unpredictability isn't just an edge, it's a shield. If nobody can read you, nobody can trap you. Put it all together, and you have the complete villain strategy. Mindset colder than Gotham's night setups built on traps, not trends. Patience sharper than a blade. Risk control, tighter than a vault. An unpredictability that leaves your enemies terrified. This is how you stop being prey. This is how you stop being the one asking, "Why did the market turn against me?" and start being the one saying, "I already knew this was coming." And listen, this is just scratching the surface. Inside my Discord, I break down these strategies in detail with real-time analysis, examples, and step-by-step guidance. If you're serious about becoming a villain in the markets, that's where the real transformation begins. So, next time you open a chart, ask yourself, are you trading like the desperate citizen, hoping Gotham will protect you? Or are you stepping into the shadows, sharpening your plan, and trading like the villain who controls the night? Because in this market, heroes lose, villains win.